Get cozy in this seat here. In this big saucer chair. This is an experience for this video. I usually don't sit in this chair for these. It's a pretty comfy chair actually. You just add a pillow, you're set, you're good to go. Hey guys, welcome back to Wedded Grizz. So in today's episode, I thought that I would talk to you guys a little bit about how I got into wedding and event planning. I guess I'll start with the story about how my parents maybe should have known that I would eventually become something to do with weddings. Aw, Sammy wants to be here for the story too. Look, he's so interested. You wanna hear? Okay, bye. So this happened when I was maybe, I had to have been like 7, I guess. We had 2 dogs. Samson was our Weimaraner and Haley was our rescued Great Dane. For whatever reason, I decided that I was going to have a wedding for my dogs. I invited the entire neighborhood. I'm pretty sure I had Haley, our Great Dane, dressed up in a veil. I probably had some white dress on her that I found in my makeup or my dress-up kit. For some reason, I feel like I would have put a dress on my dog. I also think I may have put a bow tie on Samson. So like, we're going all out here. I catered the wedding with snack items that were in our fridge and our pantry, including, I'm pretty sure it was like a full gallon of milk, orange juice, chips, crackers, and I'm pretty sure I made sandwiches for like my entire neighborhood with lunch meat and bread that was in our house. Like in my 7-year-old brain, this was a legit actual wedding. This was happening and I was doing this all or nothing. I was doing this 100%. The biggest plot twist to this story, and something that at 7 years old I did not realize, was that my mom was in the very early months of pregnancy with my youngest brother. She had probably the worst case of morning sickness that day. Bless my mom's heart. She came outside and was so sweet, at least to my memory. She was like, Lauren, let's not do this today. And then my pregnant mom had to go grocery shopping and replace all the food and the drinks that I just served to basically my entire neighborhood. So yeah, that is probably a good like backstory indication of what I probably should have been doing all along. Now in high school, I don't know how many high schools still do this. I don't even know if my high school still does this, but I think it was my freshman or sophomore year of high school, we had to take what they call a plan test. Basically, a plan test is like a career aptitude test. And I remember when I took this career aptitude test, it definitely did put me in human services or like customer service, planning, organization, like stuff like that. So when I took this career aptitude test and it came back with humanities, I was basically like, I don't know what that means. How do you even make a career out of something like that? Especially to my mom, college was very important. But me being 14, 15 years old, I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. When you're 14 or 15 years old, really, you're just worried about trying to make it through high school at that point. So when it came time to do my research paper, I kind of glanced at planning, but didn't think too seriously of it. I never knew what a booming, growing industry wedding and event planning could be. So then fast forward to my junior and senior years of high school. At this point, I had to start getting serious about what I was going to do with my life. I applied to a couple colleges and still didn't really know what I wanted to do. Basically, I just went for a major that I thought was safe. I went to college for about 2 years, majoring in criminal justice. It didn't take long before I realized criminal justice wasn't for me. I thought majoring in criminal justice would be like the TV shows. It would be exciting and fun, and Newsflash, it's really not. So after 2 years of going to college on a campus, I realized that it just wasn't for me. I dropped out of college and decided to focus on my job, which at the time was in customer service. Just kidding, I'm still in customer service. It didn't take me long to realize that I really enjoyed working with people, and I loved helping people put together something that reflected them and their personality. I have always loved weddings. When Pinterest was first becoming big, I had at least 3 wedding boards for the different weddings that I would plan. I had something like 350 pins of just wedding dresses by itself. Who doesn't have 300 pins of wedding dresses though? I mean, that's normal, right? It wasn't until I started planning my own wedding that I realized how much I really love that environment. For those of you watching this video who don't know, I actually planned not 1 but 2 weddings for me and my husband. My husband's in the military, and at the time that we were planning our wedding, we had been away from each other for a really long time. We realized that we just didn't want to be apart like that anymore, or really ever again. So our first wedding was planned in 3, count it, 3 days. My family and friends are saints. Now granted, the first wedding was really small. By that I mean it was literally just our immediate family and our closest friends. I think we had maybe 10 people there, including us. Why was it planned in 3 days, you may ask? Because in Pennsylvania, when you get your marriage license, there's a 3-day waiting period. So we woke up one morning, went and applied for our marriage license, and had 3 days to plan. We got married on a Friday at 6 o'clock. Our parents had just gotten home from work, they got dressed. I wore a white sundress, my husband wore one of his uniforms. My best friend and maid of honor pulled out the nicest dress she could find and put on a pair of heels. For those of you who know my best friend, that's a big deal. And one of John's best friends and best man put on a dress shirt and dress pants just for the occasion. Family friend of ours officiated, and our little group jumped in our cars and drove over to a local lake in the town where John and I met and essentially grew up together. That little wedding planned in 3 days was one of the most memorable days of my life. Not just because I got married, but it also made me realize it doesn't have to be anything big or extravagant to celebrate. I think it was so memorable because it was so small and intimate, and it was spent with the people who love us more than anything in the world. Then I planned the big wedding. That wedding took a 1.5 years. I am still so obsessed with my dress. It is my favorite dress in the entire world. It is by far my favorite dress that I have ever worn. That wedding was attended by close to 150 to 175 guests. Big difference from the first wedding, right? But the time I had to plan that big wedding made me fall in love with all the small details that really came together to make it something personal. I loved every step of planning that wedding from start to finish. So when the wedding was over and the planning had been done, I felt like I was missing something. It was actually my husband who brought it to my attention how much I really loved what I was doing. He's really the one that encouraged me to pursue seeking wedding and event planning as a career. Then the research began. Where do you even go to college for wedding and event planning? At the time that I was looking for colleges, I didn't think that I was going to start my own business. I thought that I was just going to be taught how to do it and join someone else's business. Until I stumbled on another blog post that talked about schools that offered online wedding and event planning courses. Now at this point in time, I was newly married, working full-time, just figuring out how to run a house. Real life kicked in full force all at once. I didn't really have time or money to go take these classes on a formal campus. So in the blog post, it gave me links to several schools that offered online courses in wedding and event planning. So then I researched some more. Finally, I decided on a school called the Wedding Planning Institute. It was run by a university based in California called Lovegevity. The thing that really drew me to this school and ultimately led me to enroll was not only the resources, but how much they stress empowering women and loving what you do and loving your career and waking up every day excited to work. I even took a pledge before I started my course that went a little something like this. I pledged to pursue my passion and promised to use my talent, creativity, and strengths to find a purpose that fits my lifestyle and create a life that I love to live every day. Look, they even sent me this cool t-shirt when I graduated. It has my pledge on it and everything. Pretty cool. And there you have it. I've been doing this ever since. I could not imagine doing anything different than I am right now. I have loved every moment of this journey, every second of owning and running my own business. And more than anything, I love working with the brides and grooms that I meet and talk to and get to know through their planning. I am still booking dates for 2018 as well as 2019 and 2020. For more information about Grismala Galas and me as a planner, visit ggalaseventplanning.com or find me on Facebook, Wedding Wire, YouTube, and Instagram. Well, that's all I have for you this week. I'll see you guys next week.